Hey first graders, welcome back to Reading Workshop today. Today our target is I can retell important parts. Readers, I love the way that you have all been reading Up a Storm, and I'm wondering, do you still have more that you can read? Give me a thumbs up if you have more that you can read. Awesome! I just have one little worry, readers, and this is it. How are you going to remember all of those great stories if you keep reading more and more? I'm worried that later you might look back at one of your books and think, I know I read this, but I don't remember what it's about. Wouldn't that be the saddest thing in the whole world if you went back to read a book and you just had forgotten it? Let's make sure that won't happen. Today, I'm going to teach you a tip to help you remember your books. Today I want to teach you that the best way to remember a book for forever and ever is to tell someone about it. After you read a great book, you can turn to your friend and say, "Can I tell you about this book?" And if you've marked important parts, it will help you retell what you read. So today's goal is going to be to retell the important parts in our book. You know, it's not very different than when you return from a real-life adventure. You usually tell someone about it, right? You might say, "Yesterday I went to the park and we did this, this, and this." Or, "We went to Disney World last summer and we saw this, this, and this." And sometimes, if you're lucky, you might even have collected pictures from your adventure. And you can take them out and look through them again and retell all of the things that have happened. And when you read a book, it's just like you and the character are on an adventure together. In the story, you and the character go to different places, you do different things, and you can't really take a picture of a reading adventure, but you can leave Post-it notes on the important parts. Then, when you retell the story, you can just flip to the Post-it notes, and you can retell the part, like what's happening. So, on the day that Iris and Walter find out that they're going on a field trip, that's an important part. You should add a Post-it to that part. I know that part happened on this page when the teacher told Iris and Walter's class that they were going to get to go on a field trip. So I made a star on a Post-it note, and I'm going to stick it on that page because I know that's an important part. The next important part in the story is when they get on the bus and they go to the field trip. That's an important part. So I drew a star and I marked that page with a Post-it note. Once they got on the field trip, the next important part is when Walter gets lost. That is such an important part to tell people about this story. So I put a star on another Post-it note and I put the Post-it note on that page where Walter gets lost. And then the next important part is when they find Walter. They find him and they bring him back to the class. So I put another star and another Post-it note on that page. The last important part in my book is when they get back to school. They get back to school safely and the field trip is over. That is an important part, so I put a star and I marked on my page with the Post-it note. Did you see how I'm using the Post-it notes to help me remember and retell the important parts of the story? You can use Post-it notes when you do this too. You'll want to use 5 Post-it notes all together for the most important parts. So can you mark every single page in your book? No, you want to pick the really important parts. So if you were going to tell me about the book you read today, what are the parts that you would want to share with me? You can't tell me every tiny detail because that would take a long time and it might spoil the book for me. But if you pick just 5 important parts, you will retell all of the important parts to the person you want to tell the story about. Today, your challenge is when you're reading, I want you to pick 5 important parts and I want you to put the Post-it notes right there on the page inside of your book so that you can tell someone about it. After you mark your pages with your 5 Post-it notes, practice retelling to someone. So I'm going to pretend you live in my house and I want to tell you the story, or you're my teacher and I want to record a video of the important parts and share it with you. Here I go. In the beginning, Iris and Walter found out that they got to go to the aquarium on a field trip. They got on the bus and they headed to the aquarium. But when they were there, something bad happened. Walter got lost and they couldn't find him. Finally, they worked together and the class found Walter. Last, the kids returned to school. Did you see how I retold all of the important parts in the story so now you know exactly what happened? Now, if I go read more and more and more and I want to come back to Iris and Walter and I say, oh no, I don't remember what happened in this story, I can just turn to my starred pages and remind myself of the most important parts that happened in this story. Readers, I'd like for you to find 5 Post-it notes or 5 index cards and draw a big star on them. As you read your books today, I want you to mark the 5 most important parts in your story and then retell the story to someone at home or take a video of yourself to send to your teacher retelling the story. We know strong readers have to be able to retell what they read. I can't wait to see how you guys do. Good luck! See you guys tomorrow.